presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 and you use the promo code Welcome to Light Years. Tommy, our Pacers.
Our Pacers, baby. I'm so pumped up. It is good for the soul of basketball that they won that game. Not that, I've been anti-Thunder. I think I've established that. But it really bothered me how flippant everyone was being about the Pacers' chance in this series. This Thunder team is excellent. They have a ton of talent. They're really young. They're incredible defensively. But they also went to 7 games with a 5.5-man team of the Denver Nuggets. Then, yeah, they have Jokic. That's a big factor. But the Pacers were more dominant on their side of the bracket. And, the East is worse. We can go to all that stuff. But we got a series now. I was worried if the Thunder won game 1 that it was going to be quick. But now that the Pacers won game 1, we got a fucking series, man. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. I suspected it was going to be a series the entire way through. If anything, I'm mad at myself. Like in the preseason preview with Andy, I said I think the Pacers are going to get to the conference finals and can win the East. But I kind of hedged a little hard. Like I did think it, but I didn't want to be that guy who was too off the wall. What this has told me is don't ever hedge. Just go with what you feel. I
picked Pacers in 7 on Twitter. That was my official pick. So, and I almost feel like I should have picked them in 6 because game 7 in Oklahoma City is going to be tough. But they're fucking relentless, man. And it makes me miss like the early Dynasty Warriors so much because there's so many similarities in the way they play.
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest difference between them and the Dynasty Warriors is they can shoot 1 through 5.
Yeah.
They're so hard. Siakam's the worst shooter on the team. He's also the best one-on-one player on the team. So, and even with that said, worst shooter is relative. He can still stick shots. He's just not a 40% flamethrower like everyone else on the roster is capable of being. I think that's the biggest difference, and I think that's something the Warriors are going to need to address in the offseason. Like both these teams make me hesitant at every time the Warriors get eliminated, people start whining about how they need size. They need a center. They need something. They do need one in the sense of Draymond can't play at 82 games and be expected to be functional in the playoffs. Like they do need it like a regular season innings eater. But are you watching the playoffs? Like both these teams, they play small ball. They both play 5-out skill-based basketball. Like the more important thing to the position is, do you have the skill set than necessarily the size? Obviously, you want the skill set with the maximum amount of size you can get.
I mean, that's what everybody's looking for, right? And that's why those guys cost a lot of money. But the one thing that really stuck out to me again and again and again and again in that game yesterday was shot making. It just like that both teams have so many guys that can create their own shot or make somewhat difficult shots or just stick an open 3. And that's
Obi Toppin.
Oh, ain't no stopping Obi Toppin, baby. Yeah, they both teams have guys that can, like Lou Dort can hit 5 threes.
More than I expected. I thought that was going to be OKC's shortcoming. Like, it's like, is Lou Dort really going to hit those shots in the big games? And we'll see how the series goes. But like, yeah, to your point, they're doing it. By the way, I think on a pod a week ago, I was talking about how the Warriors might be able to steal Obi Toppin.
No more.
Gone. Unless Miles Turner's asking for $50 a year and they give it to him. I don't know about that.
I mean, after last night, it almost feels like they closed with Obi. And I'm not sure if that's going to occur throughout the whole series. But Miles was on the bench to close that game. And if the asking price is too high, then he might be the one that walks and they might keep Obi because Obi's on a great contract.
Yeah. You never know. But either way, it's like it's a good position to be in where you got 3 skilled bigs, 2 of which who are 40% three-point shooters on volume, on like good volume for a big man. And the other one just happens to be one of the better one-on-one ISO players in the league and like a 35% shooter, Yep. So, I mean, it's just a difficult team to cover. And then, it's ball movement, man. That's the other thing about it, right? And that's the part that makes me bullish on the Warriors if they nail the summer. We know the system works if it has the right type of players. It's hard to guard a team where everyone's moving, where the ball is moving side to side. Like we talked about it all playoffs. Like the way to beat OKC is not to go pick and roll one-on-one bat. They're built to eat that alive.
You can't do it. And that's why Denver had success against them too, because they run some pick and roll, but a lot of it's versatility of offense. And that's what's like, I'm going to sound like an old man yelling at the clouds, but that's what's kind of gone from the modern game is the versatility of attack. It's just beat your guy one-on-one or pick and roll. Whereas the teams that have more versatile attacks, like eventually the defense is going to start to spring leaks. It might take a while. You might turn the ball over 20 times in the first half, but then you start to wear the other team down a little bit and you start getting open shots.
Yeah. And look, I used to get so annoyed with Steve Kerr where there was a lack of adjustments where it's like, dude, you don't have the players to play this system. I've come to the position, and this has been like a slow evolution over the years. This is the way Steph wants to play. This is the way they are going to play until he retires. Yep. And you know what? It works. They won 4 titles. I didn't think I would see one Warriors title in my lifetime. And so enough with the trying to reinvent the wheel. Like, go with what works. Stick with your generational superstar. Stick with your coach who knows how to coach that system and knows. I think the underrated thing about Steve Kerr is if you give him the right roster, he knows how to land the plane. You know what I mean? Like they have shown time and time again, they know how to get through the playoffs if they have the right mix of players. So where I'm kind of at with this is, look, Steph might only have one more great year left in him. He might have 2 to 3. We don't know.
He's got 5.
But you might as well just go down the way he wants to. He's given us enough. It works. It's like, and you don't have anything that's really justified a massive change either. It's not like you're sitting on like some player that's like, oh, we got to adjust for him and the way he wants to play because it's going to open up new possibilities for us, you know?
Totally. And you know, I think
they don't have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander where it's like, you know what? He is a little like the ball sticks in his hand. He likes to ISO, but look what he does when he ISOs, you know?
Look,
they don't have that.
as much as I've like doubted the Shai thing to a certain degree to like, you know, people anointing him as like as good as Kobe, stuff like that. He's obviously incredible, deserved MVP of the league. If we had him, change the system. Steph, go stand in the corner for a little bit. Let Shai cook.
Yeah, there's like a handful of guys who are good enough to play like that. And, you know, Luka Doncic, good enough to play like that. LeBron was good enough to play like that, where they're like, they want to slow it down. They want to scan the floor. The ball's going to stick in their hands a little more nuanced. But you know what? they're that good. The Warriors do not have a guy like that on their team. And there's only like 4 of them in the league anyway. So like everyone else probably benefits more from playing like the Warriors or Pacers than playing that way. So
100%, you know, and that's a huge reason why the Pacers are still in it, because all of their guys have bought into this style. And I think it's a pretty interesting jumping off point for what we want to talk about today.
Yeah. So like, look, we've spent a lot of the offseason just kind of discussing potential moves they're going to make. And the most realistic one that gets them back into contention is going to involve probably swinging for an undervalued asset. Whether it's someone who's in the wrong situation or someone who is in a contract dispute or something like that. You know, like Jimmy Butler was a contract dispute. That's why they were able to get him, right? Yep. Andrew Wiggins, which is the title of this podcast, he got a max contract. He was not a max player. You know, he was generally regarded as a negative asset in Minnesota. And the Warriors were willing to eat his contract to get the talent in the door because they felt on our team as a 3rd or 4th option where he can just concentrate on playing without the ball in his hands and defending, he could be really effective.
Yep.
And that was, you know, that move and the Jordan Poole development were the 2 key changes that turned kind of a team drifting in the abyss to that 2022 title run. There were other pieces, but those were the 2 key ones, right? They're going to need some form of internal development. So, you know, Pods needs to take some form of a leap next year. Or Moses Moody, if he's still on the roster, needs to take a leap. But they're also probably going to need to swing that external move. And more likely than not, it's going to be for someone who we have question marks about because of their last stop. And you're betting that in this environment, change of scenery, change of role, they're going to be good. So what I wanted to go through today is like, who could be that next Andrew Wiggins? I think I spent a while scanning this morning, and my main takeaway was it doesn't feel like there's an obvious option right now. It just does not. Like, I don't know. I felt like Aaron Gordon was obvious in Orlando. Maybe Wiggins wasn't obvious. Maybe that's the whole point behind it. It's not obvious because if it was obvious, someone else would have done it, right? So I got a list of names. You got a list of names. Let's run through it.
Let's do it. You go ahead and lead us off.
Okay. I am going to start with a 1 RJ Barrett in Toronto. So RJ Barrett, 3rd overall pick in 2019. I think in general, most would say he's been disappointing for a top 5 pick, right? He's 24. He'll be turning 25 actually this month. So he'll be 25 next season. This is going to be his year 7 season. Yeah. Year 7 season. He's been in the league 6 years. He does have prototypical wing measurements. Like he was drafted high on the tools, 6'7", near 7-foot wingspan, awesome athlete. I think he has a pretty good motor in general. Like he's a coachable player. He has all the tools of that 2-way wing you want him to be. But handle, not really great. Jump shot's been inconsistent the entire time. That's probably the biggest reason. And then just generally raw. Like he should be a great defender. He's not been a great defender. I mean, honestly, when you run down the list of the flaws with him, it sounds a lot like Andrew Wiggins in Minnesota. Honestly,
it really does.
It's probably and they're both Canadian. So there's that too.
And Barrett was billed before the Duke season and before Zion really ascended. He was the presumed number 1 pick. And then people saw him and Zion on the same team. It was like, oh no, it's actually Zion.
Wait, yeah.
It's an interesting one. No, not even close. It is an interesting one. I mean, look, 21, 6, and 5 last year. I think he is an underrated passer, especially out of more stagnant situations. Like he's not a bad pick and roll initiator. Like you said, the shot is very inconsistent. Only 63% from the free throw line last year, which is pretty concerning. Like, but his shot, above 36% from 3 the last couple of years. It fluctuates. You figure he's going to get more open shots with, playing next to Jimmy and Steph. My concern would be the ball does stick in his hands a little bit. If we're thinking in kind of this like traditional Warriors mold, and if you want to, I just know Steve is watching the Pacers play right now, and he's getting so excited about next season. Like he's like, okay, he's obviously always going to run his stuff, but this is just the way coaches think, especially when it's something that kind of adheres to the way that they want to play basketball. He is watching the Pacers play, and he's looking at some of their principles, particularly on offense, and he's thinking, okay, how can we add that into what we do? Because, I mean, that's what I'm thinking when I watch the Pacers play. Yeah. Like, how can we mesh what the Warriors do and kind of what the Pacers have done to, mesh a kind of older timeline with a, prime/younger timeline. So my concern with Barrett would be just the ball sticks. But I think you can I do think he's, like you said, coachable enough to where you could teach him to play that style of basketball.
A couple positive points to point out about him. He's put up over 5 threes a game for 4 years in a row now. So he's not afraid to shoot the ball.
Right.
And when I dug into the numbers, the catch and shoot numbers specifically have been increasing every year. The last 2 years, it's been about 38% on catch and shoot threes. Okay. It's been over 40% on open catch and shoots. Now, if you put him in a Warriors system where he gets almost exclusively those, does he turn into Andrew Wiggins, who became basically a knockdown shooter in those scenarios?
Yeah.
I can't promise that, but the signs are moving that way. He also doesn't have a broken shot. If you've ever watched him shoot, it's not broken. It's just he's been inconsistent with the makes. Like it does remind me a little of the Wiggins thing where it's like the touch is he doesn't have Kevin Durant's touch. Yeah. Sorry. If he did, he'd probably be Paul George, right?
Or like an Anunoby, kind of they're almost a little bit too muscle bound to have like that really natural, beautiful touch.
Sure.
But yeah, I do think, and he's a worker. From everything I've ever heard about him, the guy loves basketball and he wants to work at it. So you get him with the right coaches, you get him with coaches who can develop his shot. I do have faith. So I do like this one from the standpoint of I do think he's competitive. He's a big, strong body, like really good positional size, a 2 who can definitely play the 3 and even maybe battle with some 4s in the post. I don't hate it. And Toronto has 4 guys who are basically the same, or 3 guys who are basically the same player with Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Barrett, just in like where they want to operate. So yeah, I'm not mad at it at all.
I have 2 other points on RJ Barrett I want to make. One, you tied into it. You know whose godfather is?
Steve Nash, right?
Yes.
Yep.
You know who his dad is?
Yeah, I mean, didn't his dad play for a long? I don't think he played in the NBA. But
yeah, his dad is also the GM of Canadian basketball, so the Canadian national team. He's a legend for that generation of Canadian players. He didn't make it in the NBA. Steve Nash is really the only guy from that generation of Canadians who stuck in the NBA, and obviously they're kind of the godfathers of Canadian basketball that led to what is increasingly a talent explosion. I mean, Shea, Nemby, like it's a lot right there, right? And like
our guy Dylan Brooks.
RJ Barrett kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but yeah. I think a big part of this is you're betting on he has the tools and he has the makeup of the type of guy Steve Kerr would want to coach. And you're betting you put him in a situation where he has the least amount of responsibility he's had and a system that will make you better if you buy in. You can get the best out of him. And then lastly, to your point, why would the Toronto Raptors do it? I know they like him, that he's local. He probably will never leave the Raptors in free agency as long as they pay him whatever like his going rate is. Like he's happy there. But they have a really expensive payroll next year. Like they're pretty high up there. And one wonders, do they view this as an opportunity to just like shed a little salary, maybe get a Moses Moody in there, cheaper contract, a little more upside. Skill set also makes a little more sense to play off of the Scotty Barnes. Scotty and Moses were high school teammates, for those who don't know. Brandon Ingram, another ball dominant player. I do wonder if that's of interest to him. I don't know. It's funny how similar it is to Wiggins because they're both Canadian wings and like all that sort of thing. But it's like increasingly as I'm running through it, I'm wondering like, is this the best option at that like buy low guy who could fit what the Warriors want, which is, a wing defender who can do something on offense.
I mean, look, you've pretty much sold me. Like if this ends up being, I would have been very lukewarm about it like a couple months ago. But again, it is like I've just kind of watched the playoffs and like he's not like a crazy shot maker, but he is definitely a guy who can make shots. Like he scored 20 a game a couple times for a reason. And he's a big, strong guy for his position. So, and he's coachable. Like those are the 3 things I would be looking for: a guy who can make shots, a guy who's big for his position, and a guy who's coachable. And he's all 3 of those. So
he's in year 7, 25. He's what you need.
He's gotten over he's in like that Aaron Gordon to the Nuggets phase where it's like, or the Wiggins to the Warriors phase where it's like, he's gotten over, okay, my bread is not buttered as a number 1 option in the NBA. He's come to that reality, which is actually, ironically enough, the issue with Kuminga right now. Kuminga will get there one day where he realizes it's a compliment to be Sean Marion. It's not an insult. I heard you and Andy talking about that the last pod. But yeah, so
it grinds my gears.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, we don't need to rehash that.
We're not going there today. We're not going there today at all. But no, I like it. That's one I'd definitely be in on. All right. I'm gonna go with go ahead.
I want to just add one more point to it here too, is he's kind of been stuck in a wasteland in Toronto. So he has gotten better the last 2 years. I mean, he's torched the Warriors like 3 times in the last 2 years. And some of that is the Warriors no-showing. But some of that is also he's just a better player. He had 5 threes against the Warriors, 37 points in a game. That was a low point game for me, that January game in 2024. I was not a happy camper when that one happened. But anyway, my point is sometimes these guys who improve incrementally in bad situations, you miss them because there's not like the leap out of nowhere. It's just like, okay, he's clearly better than he was 2 to 3 years ago on the Knicks, but they're a 25-win team. So no one's really noticing that he went from being a C defender to like a B defender, or a C shooter to a B shooter type of thing.
And how many people are grinding Toronto Raptors tape besides me and you? You know, like we're like
that's it, man.
It's me, you, and Russillo. We're the only ones watching the Raptors at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday in November. All right, I'm going to move to my first guy. Keegan Murray, Sacramento Kings.
Okay.
Going into year 4, so still a year left on his rookie deal. I think the toughest part of this would honestly getting Vivek to play ball with us. But I mean, if you offer, you know, they kind of need, I mean, I don't know. They need a lot. They need everything. But you sell Vivek on the dream of Kuminga that he can get a superstar from the Warriors culture and, you know, have his version of.
Joe might be able to bluff him being like, I don't want to do this. And then he feels the need to do it so he can one up Joe.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. 100%. But I think the nice thing is with Keegan, you get that year to evaluate. You know, you get the last year of the rookie deal to evaluate. And because he's kind of been, he's stagnated since his rookie year. And I think a lot of that is just like the roster they've had in Sacramento. It felt like he was going to ascend after that rookie year. And they brought in guys who kind of jumped over him. Right. So like if we look at the shooting numbers here, if you guys are watching on YouTube, yeah, they brought in DeRozan. You know, Monk kind of took a leap. Fox obviously kept taking leaps. Sabonis is there. So he just he got lost in the shuffle a little bit. He shot 41% on 6 threes a game as a rookie, then down to 36% in year 2, then 34% in year 3, all about the same volume. But he just has not. I thought he was going to be like one of the best shooters in the NBA after his rookie year, but it just hasn't worked out that way. But if you do look at wide open shots on NBA.com, which is what I'm looking at right now, the last 2 years on wide open threes, 40% still. Last year, that's 2 years ago. Then, yeah, he can shoot it for sure. Then last year, 42% on wide open threes. The tough ones have been the kind of more contested ones. But look, he would get a lot of open looks, and he is a guy who can run off pin downs and at least have some kind of gravity as he does that, and he can drive a closeout. Like he's essentially, we talked about Cam Johnson so much over the past 6 months. He's essentially a younger version of that. You're getting a younger, more cost-controlled, at least for a year, version of that who
just hasn't exploded with the big year-long 40+% on 8 threes a game season.
But I do think that could be in the cards for him. Like the touch is there. He still shoots like 85% from the free throw line. So that's, and he's not a bad defender. Like the Kings have put him on Steph, and there's been moments, I should say, when he has given Steph some issues. Nobody gives Steph issues, but he's done a nice job on Steph from time to time. So, I don't think that's a small piece of this. Like the POA
you don't have to you don't need to sell me on Keegan. So
yeah, the POA thing has gotten like overblown, but then you also watch OKC and it's like, God damn, every guy can guard the fucking ball, you know? So like you want more guys like that in-house with the Warriors, but Keegan can take some of those tougher assignments, especially during the regular season, when you really don't want Jimmy doing that. And I do think there's enough of an offensive game there where against second units, you can run some offense through him from time to time. Maybe not pick and roll, but you can have him doing some of the Clay stuff coming off screens and at least create openings for other guys that way, and he can knock down shots.
Another guy who's torched the Warriors over the years. I mean, he is the most obvious case of that offense is a mess. They basically got rid of any sort of passer and put guys who want to just play with the ball in their hand. Now he ends up just catching grenades, never catching a rhythm. Like it's just, you put him in the Warrior system with the way they move the ball, I guarantee you he will shoot 40% from 3 next year. I have zero doubts. As a rookie, he shot 40% from 3. That was the year the Kings made the playoffs where they played really nice basketball. The ball was popping. Sabonis and Fox were really moving the ball. Like they looked obviously different players, but they, it's Mike Brown's first year. They really looked like Warriors-y with the way they were moving the ball. His second year, there was a little bit of a regression there. And then, of course, this year they decided to become the Chicago Bulls, which, anytime you have an opportunity to become the 9 seed 2022 Chicago Bulls, you got to do it.
So, you have to.
But I guess my only pushback on this one is pushback's not even the right word. It requires the Kings to be stupid because
okay. Stop right there.
But it's not. But it's like RJ Barrett is. You're taking a leap of faith on a guy who's got a big contract. Keegan Murray, I bet there's like 10 teams who are like, dude, let's steal him and we can make him $100 million wing right now. He can defend well enough and hit shots. Guys like him who play their role and are willing to sell out for that role, they get 25 a year easy in the NBA today. And if they're really good like OG, they get 40, you know?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. There would be where he doesn't fit into this thing of like Joe Lacob doesn't want to spend picks. You might, I mean, I don't know. What do you think of that? Like if it was a Kuminga for Keldon or gave away one of my guys. If it was a Kuminga for Keegan swap, what do you think the pick situation would be? Because I actually don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, a lot of that comes down to Vivek wanting to get Kuminga because he believes he's a star and that he wants to stick it to the Warriors because they're not like us. I mean, it feels like the most obvious, like if this happens, you just celebrate because there's no questions. Yeah. All right, guys. Cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup. I told you I was going to take more on Miles Turner last night. Did not work out for me, but I'm still feeling pretty good about the Miles Turner matchup. I just think OKC defends the ball so well that there's going to be a lot of what big man's going to hit the bailout threes and get hot. Last night was not Miles' night. Last night was Obi Toppin's night, and maybe I'll play Obi next game. But I think it's going to work out for me. I like that matchup in this series. But, whether you like that matchup or you like a different matchup, whether it's points, rebounds, or assists, take your pick of more or less for your shot to win up to 2,000x your cash. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this summer. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports takes into real money all season long. Guys, it's really easy. Download the app, use the code LIGHTYEARS, get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. That's code LIGHTYEARS, get $50 instantly when you play your first $5. Prize Picks, run your game.
Light Years Podcast. We are brought to you by LinkedIn. As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that grinds just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of candidates. And with LinkedIn, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Let your network know that you're hiring. You can even add a hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture and get 2 times more qualified candidates. So post your job for free today at linkedin.com/lightyears. That is linkedin.com/lightyears to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. My next one is someone we talked about on the last podcast, but it does fit this topic. And that is Kristaps Porzingis. I feel like I don't need to rehash the entire thing. This is a complete bet on your ability to keep him healthier than Boston. Boston is going to end up trading him if they do move him, but I do think they want to move him. They're going to end up trading him for pennies on the dollar relative to what he could be worth if he's fully healthy, right? If he's fully healthy, he is one of the best jump shooting big men, a legit shooter from 30 feet out. He also has feel and touch. He's not just a shooter. He can block shots. Yes, he's not a defensive player of the year, but he's not a liability. You can play him in playoff minutes defensively if he's healthy. He's got the offensive skill set. He's like an A+ offensively for what the Warriors are looking for from the center position, and call it a B defensively. He's not the perfect defender to put next to Draymond and Jimmy, but you could do a lot worse than him. You could do a lot worse than having that 7'2" guy with that wingspan protecting the rim, particularly when you consider Draymond's just like innate abilities as a defender, roaming as a free safety and everything there. There's not much to talk about here. It's really you're betting on Celebrini being able to keep him healthier, because this is purely a situation where Boston is moving him to save money, and mostly because the past 2 years he's been unreliable physically.
So I'll say this. He is an excellent rim protector. Excellent. Like one of the best pure rim protectors in the league, especially if you can just kind of keep him there and not have him like go out on the perimeter too much. And anytime you put a real rim protector next to Draymond Green, you have an elite defense. It almost doesn't even matter what goes on at the point of attack, because Draymond is so versatile and he's so smart and he's so good at getting guys in the right position that you're going to have a probably top 5 defense. And then you can have Jimmy take some more kind of like POA stuff. Like it could work. And yes, really good offensive skill. Can, besides shooting 3, can definitely post smalls. That's a big part of Boston's offense. When they get a switch, they throw it to him in the post. He can score pretty efficiently down there. Nice little mid-range game. But he's never fucking healthy. And Steph is going to be.
It's not one thing. It's not one thing either. It's like a litany of different types of reasons too.
All kinds of lower body stuff, which is the hardest to deal with as you age, like foot, knee, like weird calf, just all kinds of weird stuff that's like could be out for a week, could be out for a month. Steph's already 38. Jimmy's going to be 36. Draymond's going to be 36. And on top of all the physical ailments, I think he has long COVID. Like, I think that's actually what he has, because my little brother's had it for about a year. Has been suffering from very, very similar symptoms to Kristaps Porzingis. He's tried everything. And look, obviously there's way better care in professional sports than we get as like common people. But the Celtics haven't been able to figure it out. That's why he wasn't able to play in the playoffs. He has no energy. And so I just can't bet on that, man. I can't do it. As good as the fit would be, and as much as they should have traded for him 2 years ago instead of trading for Chris Paul, I just can't. I cannot bring myself to doing it, because it could immediately be terrible. The only plus side would be he is expiring. So he would not be
optionality.
Oh, fuck. All right, let's end the podcast there. I can't do optionality talk. No, it would. You can get off the contract easy because it's $30 million expiring to a team whose season just hasn't gone well for whatever reason. You know, some team always gets injured and they just want to get off money at the deadline. He would be that guy. So if it's not going well, it'd be easy to move him. But then you've also wasted 3 to 4 months of your season, and you might be in the play-in again. Even if this team came back as is, I don't think that's going to be their situation. I do think there's enough infrastructure and enough talent to probably be a top 6 seed in the West. But I don't want to be a month into the season and be like, all we got out of this summer that's meaningful is Kristaps Porzingis. That would, especially if he gets injured, that would just really bother me. I mean, that's happening. We already know that. Like the real leaf's coming. The real leaf is coming next year.
What if I told you this? If the Warriors were to trade for Kristaps, it's because they got a vote of confidence from Celebrini. And of every thing in the organization, I want to say Celebrini might be the one I trust the most.
Yeah.
So I don't think they do this. I don't think they acquire him unless Celebrini's like, no, he's fine. I can get him. I can keep him healthy. And
I mean, look,
it's a little hopium.
It's pure.
It's hopium. It's a lot of hopium.
He's the only man in the NBA, though, Celebrini now, who was able to keep Otto Porter healthy for the last 4 years of his career. I mean, quite literally, Otto retired as soon as he left the Warriors, more or less. 6 months later, he was retired due to medical reasons at 29 years old. So if that was the case, and I would assume it is, I guess I'm more okay with it, but it still feels incredibly risky to me. Incredibly. But yeah, I think I'm very aligned with Andy on that one. All right, I'm going to move to my next guy, and I was debating between 2 for this one. It was either Jonathan Isaac or Keldon Johnson. And, you know, Isaac has been a guy that has been rumored to go to the Warriors, like, lightly for 3 to 4 years. But he has kind of the same concerns as Porzingis. And I don't know if I want to go down the injury road. So I went with Keldon. The case for Keldon is he is one of those super buy low candidates. $19 million a year next year, has really just kind of fallen off with San Antonio. Was a 30+ minute a game guy, scored 22 a game back in 2022, 2023, and has really just kind of fallen out of the good graces there. And if that happens with the Spurs, that's obviously a little bit of a red flag, but he also was a Team USA guy. Like and it was the Tokyo Olympics, so there was a limited amount of guys who can go. But I think, to me, what that says is he bought into a role there. And at Team USA, that's easy to do, but he has some scoring juice. He can shoot the basketball. It's streaky, but if you get him a lot of open spot up looks, which have not been, that has not been plentiful in San Antonio, but he's been like 38+% on open catch and shoot looks the last couple of years, and he can get downhill. And I don't think it would cost much. I mean, it's probably Moses Moody plus another contract. It'd probably be Moody plus Buddy, which that would make me bulk a little bit. Maybe you can get them to buy into a Looney sign and trade as like a mentor role or something like that. And you can keep Buddy somehow. I'd be more appetized to do that. But I just think essentially, and this is how I keep thinking about it, there is a like Pacers style skill set there. Good shot maker, good positional size, athletic, plays pretty hard, rebounds well enough for his position, and just has some like natural scoring talent that isn't present on the roster. And it's basically going to cost you nothing. You might even be able to get a pick out of the Spurs for this, honest. Like Spurs have so many picks, they might throw you a second to take on the contract because he has 3 years left.
We love draft picks.
We love draft picks. We love draft picks.
I don't hate it. He is a little bit, he's got the same issue that RJ Barrett does where the ball does stop sometimes. He likes to shoot the ball. Let's be honest.
Loves it. We need guys who love to shoot the ball. Nobody on the roster likes to shoot the fucking basketball. We need guys who like to shoot it.
That's true. I will also say he has a declining contract.
He does.
Which means there'll be a little more flexibility for another move. So I don't hate it. He's a little undersized. Like, are you just playing him in non-Draymond and Jimmy minutes and then closing with the three of them with your small ball unit?
Is that the move? Work. I think it could work. I definitely think that could work. Yeah.
Because you can't play him at the 2.
No, you can't. I think you could play him next to like Jimmy in bench lineups, though. I think that would definitely work. Without Draymond, go Pods, Jimmy, Keldon, Post, and then whoever the 5th guy is, whether it's Buddy or whoever's still on the roster at that point, or wherever they pick up the free agency. I think that's a really good bench lineup. Honestly, there's some scoring punch there. There's some versatility. There's good size. And yeah, he just kind of fits that mold of a guy who can score the basketball with some positional size and some toughness. Like, I kind of think he's a dog, honestly. Like, I really do.
Oh, he definitely is. Most of his issues on the basketball court come from too much dog. Let's be real.
Right. 100%. And I think that's another thing about watching this Pacers Thunder series. It's like, it's guys who know how to play and guys that are fucking dogs. Like, there are no pussies on the floor at any time in this series.
Yeah. I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. Like, again, these are all, the entire point of this exercise is every one of these guys gives you some reservation, some more than others, but every one of them, you're just like, I was hoping for Trey Murphy. Well, guess what? Trey Murphy's going to be expensive. If they get him, I'll be happy. I'll be the first one to celebrate, but we're going through options that I would consider less obvious right now.
Right. Totally.
You know what is obvious though?
Okay. Let's hear it.
What is obvious is that Skims is hands down the most comfortable underwear ever.
No question.
Skims official NBA sponsor this year. And, they're not this year, like last year. And yeah, I kind of was like, okay, well, it's another underwear brand. What's it really about? Good branding, shout out Kim, good branding. But is it really that much better than your other underwear? And then, I got myself a pair. And oh my God. Just changed my life. I'm kind of a salty guy, kind of in a bad mood a lot of the time. but when I have my Skims on, I think it's noticeable to the outside world I'm in a better mood. They fit comfortably, that perfect blend of elasticity but structure. I'm walking around. I feel like $1 million. I feel great about myself. You feel great about yourself. You project positive energy into the world. I can't talk about them enough, guys. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com and Skims stores. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
I mean, MVP of the week. What more can you say? Light Years Podcast, we are brought to you by PXG. The time has come to get new golf clubs, and that means one thing: heading over to your local PXG store for a fitting. They make the best golf clubs, period. I got to do one, I don't know, about a couple weeks ago now with my girl Megan over at the PXG store in Huntington Beach, California. And they're fantastic. I mean, all these people are PGA professionals. Like, they are trained to teach you how to swing a golf club. They're going to fit you with the right clubs. They spend about an hour and a half with you, and it goes by fast. Like, it's super enjoyable, and you get to learn. Like, if you're learning how to play golf, you need to get, if you want to invest time in it, you need to get some clubs that fit. It makes all the difference in the world. You're going to be hitting the ball 15 to 20 yards further, and, chicks dig the long ball. The fastest way to improve your performance on the golf course is a PXG fitting. PXG fittings are educational and fun, as I just said. There's no better way to do it. So schedule your fitting today, and for a limited time, you can save up to 20% on your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/lightyears. That is pxg.com/lightyears to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/lightyears. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
All right, my last one is going to be controversial.
Oh boy. Oh God.
Miles Bridges. Miles Turner, not controversial. Miles Bridges in Charlotte. Look, undoubtedly the reason he is a tough get and the reason he is probably going to be attainable for less is off-court issues, specifically the domestic violence case. I don't really know how I want to tackle this one because I'm not going to condone.
Why are we tackling this one? Great player.
This is a very talented player.
Michigan State Spartan.
What if I told you Draymond vouches for him? Are you willing to give a man a second chance? I'm not trying to condone anything or saying you should accept what he's done in the past. I'm just saying, what if he is embraced by members of the Warriors who view that as an ugly thing that happened in his past, but think he can get beyond it? Because I think I speak for everyone, which says, like, if this is if he's a bad guy like that, and this is a pattern of behavior, like, I want no part of him on my team, period. I don't care how talented he is, right? But I'm going through the exercise and I'm trying to, I don't know, sensitives. I don't even know what the right word for it is, because, like, I don't really feel comfortable talking about it in any capacity at this point. But if Joe Lacob does not want to give up draft picks, because Joe loves the draft.
Nobody loves it more.
I love the draft, but Joe loves the draft more, realistically, right? You're going to be looking at players who have some form of a wart on them, and most of the cases, the warts are palatable. It's like, oh, Porzingis has health concerns. Okay, is he okay? Is he not? RJ Barrett, are we sure he's good or is he not? It's kind of like we're not really sure. Well, Miles Bridges, sorry, too much Pacers. Miles Bridges has, like, the ultimate, like, off the court red flag, like the worst possible one, right?
It's a mountain versus a molehill with the other guys, if we're talking relative.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I'm like, I was going through players on teams where I'm like, you put them in a different situation and the league will see them as a basketball player in a different light. I think in this case, if I'm going to be honest with you, him on the Warriors with the amount of attention the Warriors get would be the worst thing imaginable. Like, it would just shine a light on, that case in the past and everything.
It would, but he would also instantly be like their fourth best player, and it's not even close. Like the guy is an insanely talented basketball player, but he also might be an absolute piece of shit human. So it's just like, I don't know. It's a tough one to tackle. Like, I feel like everybody, like anybody who does something like we do and does a podcast is like wanted to bring this name up. So I give you credit for actually doing it, because I don't know if I would have.
And then I just stumbled all over myself because I didn't know how to talk about it, to be honest with you.
Right.
Because there's not really much to say. But like at the same time, the league he's served time with the league, and they have approved him to play in the NBA again.
Yeah.
I can't like pretend he doesn't exist.
Right. So, I mean, if people for the organization vouch for him, God, it would still make me uncomfortable. He honestly, before all that stuff came out, I really enjoyed watching him play. Like, tremendously talented basketball player. And would fit a lot of needs, can shoot, can dunk on anybody, can rebound, incredibly strong and physical. But yeah, it might just be I think it's a bridge too far. I really do. Like, and just from everything, everything that we know about this organization, they'll take some risks on guys that are, have maybe like a Wiggins, right? Where it's like questionable motor and
it's a different type of risk. Yeah.
Right. It's not, they are like the Clippers will take a risk.
It's not a criminal risk.
The Clippers now, they will take a risk on you no matter what your like past is in terms of off the court stuff. And there's other franchises like Milwaukee just did that with Kevin Porter Jr., very similar situation. But like you said, I think the spotlight part of it, the Warriors are such a public team. I think it would, and especially rightfully so, the way that a lot of Bay Area media is, I think the organization, I think it would just be too much of a PR disaster. I think if anybody shoots it down, it's number one, Steve Kerr, and number two, Raymond Ritter.
It would really have to. So the first thing that came to mind was Bob Myers would have to be the one who got up there and talked about, but he's no longer with the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So it would put an ungodly amount of pressure on Steve Kerr and Stephen Curry, who have, perfect credentials in terms of character with the entire Bay Area. They would be putting their names on the line here, saying like, I know what you think, but like, and I just don't think that's really a fair position to put them in.
I don't think Steph could do it because he's been such such a backer of the. Well,
they wouldn't make this move unless Steve and Steph okayed it. And I guess your point is Steve and Steph probably would not okay it. So this one's off the list. Maybe delete this now.
All right, let's go to my last one. And Kobe White's a name that's been bounced around a lot for good reason. Really, really good player. But a guy who's in a very similar vein and won't cost as much. At least, maybe he will because it's the Utah Jazz. Collin Sexton. Incredibly similar player. Probably not as much upside at this point as Kobe. He's just been in the NBA for a little bit longer. I think he's going into year like 8 or 9. But last year, we're talking only 27 minutes a game, 18 points, only 3 rebounds, which isn't great. He's obviously a little bit of a smaller guard, 6'3", 190. He would be almost more of a pure 6-man in the mold of like a 2022, 2023 Malik Monk. But 18 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists on 48, 41, 87 splits. Like, the guy is a tremendous scorer of the basketball. My only concern with this one would be just kind of lineup fits. Now you're in that position again where there's a lot of guards. Like, I think if you deal for Sexton, Buddy and Moody are probably out the door because the contracts align pretty well. I think it's almost an even swap in terms of money. Moody's $11 million this summer. Buddy is $8 million. Sexton is $18 million next year. So the money works perfectly. So essentially you're saying we're going to get some of these guards out of the door. This really doesn't do anything to us in terms of cap impact. Like, we're not approaching any aprons. We're just doing a straight swap of salary. We're not adding any more salary to our current payroll. And then you still have flexibility with the Kuminga sign and trade, or you bring Kuminga back because you need some more size on the wing. But I just think it's a pretty clean swap, and he's just more talented than Moody or Buddy. at this point, as much as I love Buddy, and as much as he's kind of brought to the locker room as just a guy that everybody has embraced and a personality that everybody has loved. I just think it's a fairly seamless move. And it's another guy who's super competitive, strong for a guard, and incredibly competitive, almost has too much dog sometimes, like has a little bit of that screw loose, like Russell Westbrook gene, where it's like, dude,
got a little dog factor.
Yeah, just like slow down a little bit, Colin. We don't need this much from you right now, but he can score the shit out of the basketball.
I guess my main thing on Collin Sexton is, and I agree with you, he would be a great six man for this team. He fills a lot of boxes in terms of just someone who's able to carry the scoring load when Steph's not on the court.
Yep.
Probably increasingly important just to keep Steph healthy all year. Like if you had Collin Sexton behind him, you would have Sexton games where he's feeling it and Steph can maybe be at 28 minutes, 27 minutes a night. Yep. Which is something they were really not that afforded to do this last year plus. And really since Jordan Poole, let's be honest. Yeah. Really since Jordan Poole, they haven't had that. So that'd be useful. I'm just skeptical on Utah. After the Lowry Markkanen fiasco, I'm very skeptical on deals with them. I feel like you can get a deal done with Toronto that doesn't, they don't rake you over the coals metaphorically. Ainge, I could see. It's like water and ice with the Warriors is the way I see it. Warriors are always looking for a deal. Ainge is always looking to rip you off. These are not compatible elements. It's not like the Miles Turner and the Bay Area, how they're not compatible elements, but it's also kind of like that. Kind of got to know your personnel, got to know your market, got to know your management. Warriors make deals with teams like the Wizards. They don't make deals with teams like Danny Ainge.
I mean, is he asking for 2 firsts? Do you think? Like, is he asking for
probably
Buddy and 2 firsts? Jesus,
I don't know. I'm a big time skeptic because Danny Ainge is going to push the envelope on you, and I don't think the Warriors are finessers in that situation. They're a walk away team.
Oh, if it's 2 firsts, Joe hangs up before Danny even finishes talking. Like
he gets on. They're asking for crazy prices, Tim. These prices are insane.
100%. 100%. Yeah, I don't know. I was not a big Sexton guy for a long time, but I just really like the way he's progressed in Utah, and I just really like the role that he's embraced. Like he's totally embraced just being a 6th man, and I think he'd be entirely okay with that, and just. Like you said, he would not only like nights where Steph is playing and you can maybe like tamp him down to 28 minutes, but also when Steph isn't playing, like he could go for 30 very, very easily. Like he has that in his toolkit. And again, I've said this so many times. I just think they need another guy who is an explosive scorer. Like you don't want to be so reliant on Jimmy and Steph every night to score 55 points, like especially at their age.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not the number one need for me because for me, the number one need is finding an athletic guy who fits in with the core 3 in your closing lineup. But it's up there as they simply cannot enter the season with no viable backup for Steph because at his age, like you're going to get the best of him in March and then he's going to be tired. Mm-hmm. What you need is someone who can, keep him at 60-ish games in the regular season. That could keep him at 24 points per game and not having to put up 30 a night on a regular basis. Because when you get to the playoffs, you're going to need that 40 minutes, 30 plus point per game guy.
Yeah, we don't need another pulled hamstring situation. We just don't. Like, and it was really due to Steph being worn down because they had to go so hard to finish the season. But again, my point is with this, if you can get Utah to actually play ball and get Ainge to not absolutely rip you off, you still have other mechanisms to fill out the rest of your roster. You still have the Kuminga sign-in trade. Like that. This doesn't waste that if you do it correctly. It's
he's coming back.
All right.
We will never make a bad deal. We will hold. We can play the long game. We will wait until 2028 if that's how long it takes to make a deal.
Hey, look, Joe's a top 10 blackjack player in the entire world. So, he's a better card player than anybody we know. Yeah, I like, again, I like the player, and I like the potential flexibility he could bring if you don't have to give up too much.
It is the right contract size. He is the right age. Mm-hmm. A lot of things align there. I'm just a skeptic with Danny.
If it's anywhere else in the NBA, I think it's pretty easy to get done.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Appreciate y'all.